There is a quiet illusion that insight should be enough. If you understand the pattern, you should be free of it. You identify your avoidance. You see how you seek reassurance. You recognize the defensive edge in your voice. And for a moment, it feels powerful, clear. Clarity creates distance. Distance feels like control. But control is not change. The mind loves explanation. It finds relief in labeling. If I overwork because I fear inadequacy, if I withdraw because I fear rejection. Understanding organizes experience. It reduces chaos. But it does not dismantle structure. Patterns are not built from thoughts alone. They are built from repetition, from emotional reinforcement, from nervous system conditioning. If a behavior once reduced pain, your body learned it. If a reaction once restored control, your system encoded it. Understanding it now does not erase that encoding. This is where instability begins. You know the pattern, but it still runs. You can explain your anger and still feel it surge. You can describe your insecurity and still react from it. The insight is real. The reaction is also real. This creates tension. Before awareness, the pattern felt like identity. After awareness, it feels mechanical, but it has not stopped. That gap feels unstable. You expected relief. Instead, you feel friction. Friction appears when cognition and conditioning are misaligned. Your mind understands. Your nervous system does not. Insight operates at the level of narrative. Conditioning operates at the level of survival. Survival systems do not dissolve because you explain them. They dissolve when they are no longer reinforced. And that takes repetition, exposure, tolerance of discomfort, none of which are intellectual processes. This is why insight alone feels unstable. You dismantled the story, but the structure is still standing. You interrupted identification, but you have not yet rewired reaction. So the system continues. And when it continues, you question the insight. You think, if I truly understood this, I wouldn't still do it. But understanding and integration are different processes. Understanding is cognitive recognition. Integration is nervous system recalibration. Recognition is immediate. Recalibration is gradual. Gradual change feels unstable, because the old pattern is visible, yet still active. You are no longer unconscious, but you are not yet reorganized. That in-between space is uncomfortable. Insight is not the dismantling, it is the interruption. And interrupted systems resist before they update. The instability is not proof that insight failed. It is proof that insight touched something structural, and structures do not disappear because you understood them. The system does not reorganize because you had a realization. It reorganizes when safety changes. You can explain your pattern perfectly. You can trace it to childhood. You can describe its logic. And still react the same way. Because the system is not built on explanation. It is built on reinforcement. Every time a reaction reduced pain, every time it prevented rejection, every time it restored control, it was strengthened. Strengthened below the level of thought. Insight happens in language. Conditioning happens in the nervous system. Language does not override survival coding. If anger once protected you, your body learned that anger equals safety. If withdrawal once prevented humiliation, withdrawal became efficient. Efficiency is not dismantled by awareness, The nervous system does not update because you understand the pattern. It updates when the pattern is no longer necessary for safety. And safety is measured through experience, not logic. This is why insight alone feels unstable. Your mind says, this reaction isn't needed. Your body says, it kept us safe before. And the body wins, not because it is irrational, because it is protective. Protection does not disappear when exposed. It disappears when repeated exposure proves it unnecessary, when anger rises and nothing catastrophic happens, when vulnerability appears and rejection does not follow. That repetition teaches safety. Insight alone does not teach safety. It teaches awareness. Awareness interrupts the story, but it does not immediately interrupt the reflex. The reflex has history. History gives patterns authority. Authority does not dissolve because it was questioned. It dissolves when it is outgrown. Until then, the system continues to fire. And when it does, you may doubt your insight. You may think you misunderstood. But the persistence of a pattern does not mean the insight was false. It means the system is still calibrated for an older environment, older threats, older vulnerabilities. Understanding exposes the calibration. Experience rewires it. The system does not care that you understand. It cares whether you are safe. And safety is proven slowly. If this perspective resonates, like the video. Subscribe if you want more. No pressure, just awareness. There is a phase no one prepares you for. The phase where you understand the pattern, but still feel controlled by it. You are no longer unconscious. You see the mechanism clearly. Yet the reaction still rises. The urge still pulls. That contradiction feels destabilizing. Before insight, the pattern felt natural. After insight, it feels mechanical. But it has not stopped. This creates internal tension. Your mind says, this isn't who I want to be. Your nervous system says, this is what kept us intact. Two systems operating at once. This overlap feels unstable because identity is shifting. You are no longer fully identified with the reaction, but you are not yet free from it. You are between structures. The old structure is visible. The new structure is not yet reinforced. And in that gap, intensity increases. Doubt grows louder. Emotion feels sharper. You may think more obsessively about the pattern. Monitor yourself constantly. This monitoring adds pressure. You expect improvement because you understand. When improvement does not arrive immediately, you interpret the delay as failure. But instability is not failure. It is transition. Transition always feels uncertain. A system that is reorganizing cannot feel stable in the middle of reorganization. Stability returns after recalibration, not during it. The discomfort belongs to the in-between. Most people retreat here, not because they lack insight, because they misinterpret instability as damage. But instability simply means the old certainty is weakening. Weakening certainty creates anxiety. Anxiety feels like something is wrong. But something wrong is not the same as something broken. Insight removed invisibility. Now the pattern is exposed while still active. Exposure without integration feels raw, and rawness feels unsafe. This is the instability phase. You are no longer asleep inside the pattern, but you are not yet reorganized beyond it. The system is adjusting to observation. Observation changes behavior slowly, not through force, through repetition without reinforcement. Until then, the instability remains. Not as punishment, as evidence that something structural is shifting. And structural shifts never feel smooth while they are happening. Insight destabilizes. But destabilization is not the end of the process. It is the beginning of reorganization. Most people try to force change once they understand a pattern. They tighten control. They demand different reactions. Force creates suppression, not recalibration. Suppression pushes the reaction down, but the structure remains intact. The pattern waits and returns under pressure. Reorganization works differently. It does not attack the old response. It allows the response to appear without reinforcing it, without collapsing into it. When anger rises and you observe it without acting from it, when insecurity surfaces and you do not rush to neutralize it, when the urge to retreat appears and you remain present, the system receives new information. It learns that survival does not depend on the old pattern, that nothing catastrophic follows non-reaction, that discomfort can exist without disintegration. Repetition of this experience rewires safety, not instantly, gradually. The intensity that once felt overwhelming begins to shorten. The certainty that once felt rigid begins to soften. The reaction may still appear, but it no longer dominates. Integration is quiet. There is no dramatic breakthrough, no sudden transformation, just less urgency. The nervous system updates when repeated experiences contradict old predictions. Insight begins the interruption. Experience completes the recalibration. Understanding dismantles the illusion of identity, but lived experience dismantles the reflex. When the instability fades, it does not feel like triumph. It feels like space. More room between impulse and action. More room between thought and belief. The pattern may still exist, but it is no longer automatic authority. That is reorganization. Insight alone felt unstable because it exposed the structure without yet reshaping it. Repetition reshapes it. Patience stabilizes it. And stability returns quietly. If this helped you see your own system more clearly, consider liking the video and subscribing.